Top of the table.
Hello, friends. Welcome to yet another episode of Top of the Table. And why you are hearing the sound of deep inhales and exhales in my background is because today we have a doctor turned yogini on our show who will tell us all about the power of yoga in healing the mind. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Charu Arora, a yoga instructor par excellence who has helped many heal their diseases with yoga. Welcome, Charu.
Thank you so much, Sheetal, for having me on this podcast. I really feel grateful to be here and honored.
So, Charu, tell us about your journey first. I mean, you were a doctor working in a premier medical institution in Delhi and then Singapore. Then, what happened that you turned towards yoga and eventually changed the trajectory of your professional life completely? Because from what I personally know, and the doctors that I know personally, most of them are staunch believers in allopathy and medicine, and they just somehow dismiss anything which is above and beyond medicine at all.
Yes, that's very, very accurately put, Sheetal. And you might find it funny, and your listeners might find it funny, but I was one of those doctors myself before 2015. I was against yoga, I was against Ayurveda, I was against all of these practices. As doctors and as engineers and as science students and people with analytical background, we tend to question everything, and very rightly so. We question everything that we see and is being told to us. We need answers that are logical and convincing, right? So I used to disbelieve in this field because I had not actually put enough effort to find the answers, and the answers were not readily available, so I assumed there were no answers. I had a lot of health issues. I have a lot of health issues, in fact. The longest condition that I have, and for which I'm working a lot with many patients also since the last 2 years now, is acid reflux. Some people, where the symptoms are milder, can just get relief from medicines, but medicines have their own side effects, and I have been through that journey. So this problem got very big in the sense many people have it, but I got a complication of it which is rare, which is also pre-cancerous. So that is the time when the surgery was also done, but that is how I actually got almost pushed into yoga and meditation, more because I didn't have any other option at that point. So yeah, so I started asking questions and I started looking up for answers, and I found those answers. There's already a lot of research which has already proven how these things work, how breathing works, how meditation works. There are scientific papers and established guidelines on various aspects of yoga for various medical conditions. So I found those answers and I had seen the effect in me, and then I incidentally also had become a teacher by then. So once I started teaching, it became more like a thing that automatically people who were following yoga more seriously or breathing more seriously for their health condition became attracted to me. So then I started seeing this impact in others also, right? So then it became like a life changing thing. So I will not like to call myself a convert. Actually, to be honest, I believe that that medicine has its own role to play in disease management, but all doctors believe that lifestyle management is very important, and what we call yoga today actually is lifestyle management. It involves a lot of things, and mostly if you just focus even on the breath, you can do a lot.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this, Charu. And to be very honest, if I share my own experience with yoga, I have been someone who has been like a yo-yo ball. My weight has been always going up and down, and there was always a constant struggle because of the lifestyle that I have and also the work hours that I have. So because of which, I kind of tried hard managing it and tried out everything. Now, back in my heydays, when I was young, I used to think that yoga is only meant for old people. Why would you do all those stretches and all those breathing exercises? It's so slow. You need something fast paced, right?
I can
But
totally relate to that.
so I was one of those people who would go to the gym, who would swim, who would do all kind of really really high energy, very active sort of exercises. But I saw a couple of my friends who were witnessing a huge change in them because of yoga. And to be very honest, yoga was the only form of exercise that I joined. And when because of my travel and everything, all those reasons, I had to kind of quit yoga, and I was doing it with an instructor at home. So I had to quit yoga for some time. But the weight, unlike how it used to bounce back when I used to gym or used any other kind of high intensity workouts, that never happened with yoga. So that was very surprising for me. The other very surprising aspect was that I was against meditation, and meditation hadn't caught up in that bigger way that it is right now. So I always used to say that, oh, I don't want to meditate. And my instructor always used to say that, every day you must meditate, even if it's for 30 seconds, even if it's for 1 minute. And he would try to make me calmer and make me meditate. And one day finally he succeeded. And trust me, those 30 seconds or 1 minute of stillness that I witnessed while I was doing the meditation, it was like I had a full night's sleep. It made me so energetic. It revived me in such a fashion that it was an absolute wow experience for me. So that is how I converted from being a gym rat to a yoga person completely.
It's, I think it requires a certain level of open-mindedness to try things that you don't intuitively believe in, to give them a shot, just to say कि ठीक है चलो, let's try and see if we feel any different. And I think it's very important to be open-minded, because I was not open-minded for a long time. Otherwise, I would have gotten into these practices earlier. Anyhow, better late than never, right? Most people and a lot of doctors also believe that the contributing factor of these practices, the yoga or breathing or meditation, is mostly only around the stress relief or the stress management part, which is definitely true. What I believe though is that there is more to it, and research has also proved the same, that breathing actually does alter your mind, and through your mind and in other ways, it definitely affects the functions of the body as well. So there are definite mechanisms through which these exercises or these practices are actually helping in the whole process of how the disease happens. It's working right at the root cause. It's not just stress management.
But it's a very important point that you've touched upon, Charu, that this recent research which talks about the benefit of yoga on your mind, on the human mind. How do you think, I mean, what from what I've studied and what I've understood, say it also helps in a lot of cell regeneration. So
Yes. Mm.
that somewhere crucial in why you feel a certain way once you do a yoga, why it calms you down and how it makes you feel and how it manages a disease.
Yes, so definitely, see, there is a lot of work around not just regeneration, but also, in the process of aging. For example, the connections in the brain, they are an important aspect of many processes, regeneration, and aging, disease management, and lot of dementia-like conditions. So these connections actually have been seen to form better and stronger after meditation and breathing exercises. It has been shown that with the breath, actually, you can directly control a lot of things in the mind and hence in the body. So there are a lot of studies, and I think there is a lot of information that is not very well known, which is why we are not able to give it the credit that I think it deserves. But with time, I'm sure it will happen. It will just take some time, but it will definitely happen.
No, I'm sure it will, and I think that we are already beginning to see a change, out here
Yeah.
in India as well. So, Charu, when we talk about yoga, there are 8 limbs of yoga which are
Yes.
talked about, and it practically covers everything. Could you please explain it to our audience in very simple terms? If you can just use one line to explain each of these limbs and what they mean.
Yes, sure. That would be really nice. That's very integral to the essence of yoga, and in understanding that yoga is so much more beyond asanas or asanas. So yeah, you were right. There are 8 limbs of Ashtanga yoga. In fact, Asht means 8, and Ang means limbs. So Ashtanga yoga is 8 limbs of yoga, and the 8 limbs are called yam, like one by one are called yam, niyam, asan, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, and they are actually in a sequence. So they are kind of how you should go from one thing to the other. And there are actually 5 yams and 5 niyams. So like there are 8 limbs, and then the first one is yam and the second is niyam, and the yam has further five of those, and the niyams also are five. So these yams are basically, if I were to generalize all those five ones, they mean they actually are certain kind of social ethics, or kind of just general practices that you should follow while you are living your life. And they are like, about being kind and about being truthful and not doing any stealing and doing everything in moderation, being generous, and then the niyams are also similar, but they are more on they start to get a little more serious, and now we are talking about things like, being content with what you have and being pure with a pure soul and not having any vices in the soul, and being very devoted to whatever you are doing, whether it is yoga or whether it is your job or anything else, and self awareness, and sort of being very accepting, and surrendering to the universe as per the bigger plan. So basically these things are more like thought management, I would call it, in very simple terms, as to just general specific guidelines as to how you should live your life in a yogic way, or in a way that might make you happier. So these are the first two. These are pretty theoretical in some ways, if you're not able to actually apply them in your life, and it's pretty tough. I believe all of us do try in our own ways. And then the third one is asan, the one which yoga is known for all over the world. Here basically you are just focusing, and but the essence in which it is talked about in the yoga sutras about asanas is that it should be sthiram sukham asanam, which means that a posture in which you can be stable and yet comfortable. So even if you're sitting in a padmasan or a sukhasan, you should be stable and you should be comfortable in that position. So whatever asana you do, you have actually ideally to be you should be doing with that spirit, with that in mind. So that is the essence of asana. And the next is pranayama, which is now we are getting from the body to the mind, slowly through the breath. And pranayama is basically controlling the breathing. And there are many ways to do it. So you are now reaching the mind by focusing on the breath, you are calming the mind. Um, Also, you, in order to do the pranayama and the further limbs, which are meditation, etc., uh, it is ideally done in a seated posture, in a posture like Padmasana, etc., or a Sukhasana at least. And asanas are supposed to be basically, according to our scriptures in Hatha Yoga Pratipika, also it is mentioned that you do the asanas or you learn the asanas to make your body able enough to so that you can sit for pranayama and meditation. That's why these are in sequence, right? So first you prepare your body, and then you start sitting for pranayama, and then is pratyahara, where again we are turning inwards from the body to the mind, and we are talking about the five senses here. Is that you reduce your dependence on the five senses, because the way we live our lives, and we can touch more upon this later. uh, the way we live our lives, we are actually always giving into our sensory cravings, and that takes us away from who we really are actually. So there is a huge element of controlling your desires, which is pratyahara, the fifth limb. And then are various forms of meditation, going from one to the other, being more deep. So starts with dharana, which is the sixth limb, which is starting to focus, improving your focus and your concentration, your attention. Dharana literally means concentration. So you learn when you're just starting to meditate, maybe you can initially focus on a candle flame, which is tratak meditation, or you can focus on your third eye, or you can focus on your breath. So there are many other elements that you can focus on, and you start meditating. And as you go deeper and deeper and you keep practicing meditation or concentration, you reach the dhyan, which is the next limb, which is deeper stages of meditation, where you actually even start letting go of your own identity, and you start going in the deeper states, which yogis have experienced by practicing meditations for days and months. And then the final stage is samadhi, which is supposed to be the ultimate goal of yogic practices, which is which is said that is being one with the universe. So that's the eighth limb. So it's a sequence, and it's beautiful. If it was possible for us to live the life in this way, we would have been, I think, really a happier generation. But yeah, it's good to practice whatever we can.
I mean, you were spot on, and I think that you explained it beautifully. Because till now, I used to think that only pranayama and dhyana are things that basically, or the limbs of yoga which basically focus on the mind. But to be honest, I think it starts from yama and it goes
Everything,
on to samadhi.
yes,
Everything
yes.
is basically also, while
100%. Yeah.
something,
Even asanas, if you practice with breathing awareness, like I usually do or my students usually do, is then you are also, because you are in connection with the breath, you are controlling the mind. So even asana have a role to play when it comes to the mind.
So, Charu, you've been practicing yoga yourself and you've also been teaching yoga. Have you ever met anyone, or, any of your students or you yourself, who felt a change in the mindset or any sort of, mental state because of yoga? So, could you share any
Every
of that?
single person that I work with. So when we do a yoga, when I do a yoga class, it is not just an asana class mostly. Even if there is asana, there will be some element of pranayam, chanting, some meditation will always be there, because I believe a lot in the role of that. The effect on the body, I can give you many examples. Like I work with a COVID patient who is an ENT surgeon herself, and we recovered her lungs. And of course, she was very stressed because of this, and her mental state improved as well. And I work with another friend who's also a doctor, and she has asthma and she has severe anxiety, and she has improved a lot over the last 2 years that we have been working together. And there are many other people who during COVID were undergoing severe anxiety and stress related issues, physical manifestations of the stress as well. And with regular practice, everybody, each of these people, I don't know which example to give you, because everybody's experience is very different in their own way. But the one common factor is that everybody starts feeling that this is adding a lot of value and helping them cope with their condition much better. Their anxiety is getting lesser and lesser. They're getting fewer attacks. The attacks are lasting, they're shorter. Actually, most of health conditions, like I really like to believe from whatever I have experienced and studied and seen around me, that a lot if it is in the mind anyway. So the physical manifestations also start improving automatically. But specifically, I can quote this example that when COVID started, I was doing group sessions for people in the US, and COVID started more in US before it became so rampant in India. And COVID was just first peak of first wave, and people were in a very very deeply affected mental state. And a lot of them wrote reviews. It was on an app on which I used to teach before my own practice picked up. So then I am not teaching there anymore. But so people used to write reviews like, this, I'm so depressed, and this class is just one way for me to wake up in the morning, one reason for me to wake up. And things like, like, I am so grateful that it's there. And at that point we were offering this for free, out of a good gesture. The founder is a very nice guy. He lives in the US. He's an Indian and a yoga promoter. So yeah, so things like these really touch your heart and make you believe that there might be a lot of struggles on the path that you have chosen, but it's very gratifying.
And the good news is, Charu, that now you're going to be on the UWC platform. So, yay, even if people don't find you on any other app, they'll definitely find you on United We Care.
That is really an honor. Thank you so much.
So now, Charu, if I talk about, we are really enthused after listening to you and all these stories. I think I'm going to get back to my yoga practice once again.
Amazing.
Tell me, like for instance, I have experienced yoga, but for someone who is extremely new to yoga, how do you recommend that the person start the journey?
I think it might vary a little bit depending on why, the reason. Like when anybody asks me anything about yoga for their practice, my first question is, what is your goal? Why are you doing yoga? What are you trying to achieve out of it? So there can be multiple things, but I'll try to categorize them broadly into two, which is one, somebody might be doing yoga for more of, feeling good in the mind, for stress relief, etc., or they might be doing it for fitness. So if somebody is looking more from a stress relief point, and your goals might change also. Like I worked with people who started with stress relief, and when they started feeling more energetic in the body because of the breathing and meditation, they started wanting to do asanas also. So their goals changed to physical fitness. So if you are wanting to do yoga for feeling calmer, I would suggest that you start with gentle breathing exercises. There are many videos, there are apps, there are podcasts that you can listen to and practice on your own. Some guidance is good to have. I think it is kind of necessary to have in the beginning, and then once you get a hang of it, then you can practice on your own. But it's important to practice these things in the right way. So just start with any guided practice of breathing or guided meditation. If your purpose is to get more fit physically, so I always like to recommend that you start slow and you build up your practice over time, over months, and then slowly get into more intermediate and advanced postures. And definitely always be in touch with your breath. There is a lot that the breath can do, which our yogis, like from what we read in the scriptures, have known for very long, and now science is also proving the same thing. So focus a lot on the breath, even if you're doing asana practice. So that's gonna be my recommendation.
Absolutely. And I think even if we start with like a 15-minute, yoga practice each day, I
Yes.
think eventually, you get used to, your
Yes,
body
yes,
gets used
yes.
to it.
100%. You know, a lot of times you brought up a very important point, Sheetal, is which is about the time. You know, a lot of times we have this limitation in the mind or a hurdle in the mind that, okay, if we do not have 1 hour, we will not practice. And that helps us in a way, like does not help us, and we end up never starting it because we never get 1 full hour. So even if you are absolutely right, even if we get 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or like you said, for meditation, even 1 minute, we should just do it.
So Charu, would you want to give us like make us experience like maybe like a 5-minute short exercise of yoga or anything that can be guided through voice only and nothing else?
Yes,
Maybe a shavasana. I don't know. So
yes, we can
if you
do a
could just
breathing
share with
exercise. Yes,
our
audio
listeners.
is enough because even if when I do it with my students, also their eyes have to be closed. So it's only audio that you need actually for a breathing exercise. So, yeah, would you like to practice it with me? And the listeners can do it as well.
Yes, certainly.
Perfect. So, amazing. Let's do this. We will do just some gentle, deep yogic breathing. We call it yogic breathing, but it is very simple, which is why I chose this one. This is just deep inhalations and exhalations. So we will do it in the sitting position. If you are seated in a chair, you can just do it right there. If you can, fold your legs. So if you can change your position, or if you want to move somewhere, you want to fold your legs and sit in a comfortable seated posture, that also is good. You can take back support if you like, or you can just sit with a straight spine, up to you. For this, it will be better if we can close our eyes. We can experience it better. And also, it is recommended to keep your palms on your thighs facing upwards. So the palms are looking towards the ceiling, but the palms are also resting on the thighs, so they are relaxed. If you are sitting on the chair, your feet can rest on the floor. And just try and follow what I uh, instruct for the next few minutes. While we practice this breathing exercise, I will be asking you to focus all the time on the breath, but your breath will wander, your mind will wander. You will not be able to focus on the breath all the time. But don't worry about it at all. This is absolutely normal and happens with all of us. So don't worry about it. Just try to focus as much as it's possible for you. So now we'll slowly begin. You can keep your eyes gently closed. If you're on the chair, your feet are resting on the ground. And you can try and keep your spine straight. Try to relax your forehead. Just see and analyze if you feel any wrinkles on the forehead. If yes, just try to make your forehead soft. And also relax your facial muscles. Try and feel soft in the entire face. Now, slowly bring your awareness to your nose. We'll begin by just observing the normal breath. So, here we are not doing anything with the breath. The breath is just flowing in its natural way in and out. All we are doing is just observing it. Try and identify the inhalation and exhalation separately. Observe the inhaled air and the exhaled air. Now we'll practice slightly deeper breathing but in our comfort zone. Take a deep breath in and now slowly exhale out from the nose. All the breathing from the nose. Again, inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Inhale. Exhale. Now inhale and observe the movements in your abdomen and chest. They are going up and out. As you exhale, observe your navel going in. Empty your lungs. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Now slowly let the breath flow normally and naturally, but keep your eyes closed and keep observing the breath. Now, with a very few gentle blinks, you can slowly open your eyes. Gradually, slowly open your eyes.
Wonderful, Charu. This was extremely relaxing. I think that it's been a while since I've focused on my breath so much, to be very honest.
Yeah, the breath is an amazing thing. It can make us, it can just change our mood immediately.
Absolutely. And it calmed me down so much.
Yeah,
It's hard being in that state with a baby around.
I know, I know. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Charu, for joining us
It
and
was
making our listeners,
lovely.
our viewers and our listeners can find you on United We Care app very soon. And I'm sure that they'll be booking a lot of sessions with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Sheetal. It was amazing. Always feel grateful to be able to talk about yoga and breathing and meditation. And I'm very happy that more and more listeners are getting to know this because of your efforts. So thank you to the entire team for that.
Thank you so much, Charu. And thank you, everyone, for joining us in this podcast.